I recently found out that the average American does not even have $500 saved for any emergency expenses. And even worse, most people don't even have enough money. Like if their car broke down today, they would not be able to pay rent for the rest of the month, man. And as a person that was able to get up to $10,000 saved, I will say you do feel different. Having no credit cards, $10,000 saved, rent paid, all that, you feel like a different monster. But a lot of people, it's crazy how like you get on the internet, so many people say $10,000 like isn't shit. And you can't let that mess with your head. $10,000 is a lot of money. $1,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people everywhere else but America. So don't you ever let anybody ever tell you $100 isn't a lot. Well, $100 isn't a lot of money anymore, unfortunately. But don't let nobody tell you $1,000 isn't a lot of money or that 10 bands is a lot of money. But let's see what bro got to say.
So if you've ever been curious exactly how your life changes throughout every financial milestone, from $10,000 to $100,000 to $1 million and beyond, and why $10,000 could actually be the most significant from all of them, keep watching. To begin, let's start with everyone's first major milestone, $10,000. Even though this certainly isn't enough to go and buy a house or a crazy nice car, the good news is that with this amount of money, you'll gain enough financial confidence to know that if you could do this, you could level up in practically any area of your life that you put your mind to. Like I remember when I hit my first $10,000, just the idea that I could go and buy a used car outright gave me such a sense of accomplishment.
Now Audi's pretty clean. What year is that?
And that early feeling of success. If your pet gets sick and you get hit with a vet bill, you've got it covered.
That's why I don't want no pets. Cause you know how mad I would be? I gotta choose between my rent and my dog, bro. My dog is sick and I've had his ass for years. Like, can't do that. Can't do that, man.
I've also found that at this level, you really become intentional about your spending because you understand just how much work it takes to get there. And this also serves as
no facts. Well, it depends on what you do to get to 10,000. But like, if you just work a normal job and you get up to $10,000 saved, you're not gonna blow that 10,000 like a dumbass. Like, how you get your money determines how you spend your money. Cause there's a lot of people, there's a lot of like dudes that are like, they get their money like either legally or fast. That $10,000 is not shit to them. But you ask like a random like person that's making like 25-ish an hour, save up 10. You tell them to go buy like a section or some stupid shit, they're not buying that shit, I'm telling you.
Inspiration for the next milestone of $100,000. However, I will say the biggest impact of your first $100,000 isn't going to be so much mental, but rather your ability to start earning way more money because of compound interest. In fact, Charlie Munger famously said that your first $100,000 is a bit, but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit. In his eyes, this is where your investment returns.
No, yeah, because with $100,000, even if you get a return of, wait, let me see if I'm stupid or not. I think that's a return of, even if it's 3%, that's 3K. Yeah, that's 3,000. If you have $100,000, that's whatchamacallit, that's 3K you get in, that's 3K you get back every year, and that's more than. Yeah, now I gotta get $100,000. Oh my goodness.
When you hit your next financial milestone of $500,000. To me, this is the point where you finally start to feel financially secure. Like, sure, $100,000 is a lot of money, but it could also be gone fairly quickly in the event of unemployment, a divorce, a medical issue, or a prolonged recession. $500,000, on the other hand, really is able to cover most of that. Sure, at this point, all of your financial worries aren't magically gonna go away, but it does take the pressure off constantly budgeting, checking prices at the grocery store, and it lessens the sting of these unexpected.
That's kind of crazy to say that 500K is to stop looking at prices at the grocery store, because I don't even like do that, because I just always get great value stuff. I think even if I get rich, I'm gonna just always get great value stuff at Walmart, bro. Like, I think I'm addicted to the poor taste. Like, I can't not eat great value stuff at this point.
You don't need to be as careful about your budget. Your investment returns begin growing at a rate that might outpace what you're able to save, and you can start spending a little more money on enjoyment. This might include slightly longer vacations. You could afford to take a little more time off work. You could start buying yourself reasonable items that you don't need purely because you want them. Eating out at restaurants is no longer something you really have to carefully think about. And to me, this is where you really start getting into a strong...
I feel like this applies more to like, it depends if you have kids. I feel like if you have nowadays, if you have $5,000 single versus having a kid, it's two completely different things. If you have kids with $5K and you got your own spot, that shit's going away in like 2 months. But if you gave a single dude $5K that's like living like me, you know, you can make $5K stretch like around 2 months as well. Around like 2-3 months. No more cooking, Uber Eats, everything. Why would Grubhub is better than Uber Eats, and I'm gonna stand on that until I am dead. Grubhub is better than Uber Eats, 110%.
Next milestone of $1 million. For that, despite what you might think, you don't need a ton of money to eat well. Like, to give you an example, throughout my entire journey, I still ate most of my food from home, I rarely ever went out to restaurants, and I did my best to find the highest quality foods for the best quality price. That's why if you—
That's because this dude ain't got no bitches, man. I don't know if he got bitches or not, but it's like, when you're constantly dealing, girls are expensive, bro. That's one thing I'm gonna make sure to teach my son. Whenever I have a son, if I have a son, is like, bro, women are so expensive, and it doesn't matter if you have a girlfriend or if you got multiple girls. Girls are expensive as hell. I'm honestly under the impression that if you have a girlfriend, it's more expensive. It's more expensive. That's just my personal take. I could be wrong. Because if you got like some shawties from here and there, like 9 times out of 10, you don't really gotta like take care of them like that. You might have to get them like some food here and there, if like depending on y'all's relationship. But a girlfriend, constantly gotta go outside with them. Constantly gotta get them flowers. Constantly gotta do like all that type of stuff. And hey, some dudes that's like perfect. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you not to get a girlfriend because they cost money. But I'm saying, like, if you want to get that Rolex and hit a mill, boy, you better not have no girlfriend till you look 30, nigga.
Meant that, to me, I had achieved financial freedom. I didn't have to work if I didn't absolutely want to. I could say no to the things that I just didn't feel like doing. And even though, sure, it's not Lambo penthouse money, it just meant that $1 million gave me a completely blank slate and a world of opportunity. Now, even though at this point I felt comfortable taking 2-week vacations because the timing just worked out and I didn't exactly worry about paying bills, I was still living extremely frugally. I budgeted everything down to the dollar, and I think from the outside looking in, you would think I was just a broke college kid.
It is. See, here's the thing, all right? I always think about this. When you reach $1 million, you go crazy with the $1 million, or do you just continue living the way that you were living to get the $1 million? Because I feel like every dude in their chest, once they reach a certain amount of money, the first initial thing that they feel like doing is just blowing it on stupid, materialistic shit that makes them feel cool, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, shut up, E. Like if I hit $1 million, I have to buy something from my childhood that I always wanted. Oh yeah, 10 million. Okay, yeah, I get 10 million is the next goal, but I'm saying like when you hit $1 million, like I feel when you hit like all the milestones he just said, I feel like when you hit these milestones, like a part of you as a man wants to just go throw like spend the money, like because you don't need a lot as a dude to survive for real. You know, you just need like most dudes. You give them what do most dudes need? Most dudes really need like nowadays like a TV, you know, if they got a favorite sports team, the ability to watch their favorite sports team, a gym, a girl. And most dudes could survive off $30,000. So imagine you give a dude $1 million. Like, of course he's like, of course you're gonna. I think like this dude looks like he's very financially like sensible, but I think most dudes, you give them $500K, $100K, $1 million, they're buying at least one stupid thing from their childhood.
Just to give you an accurate idea of what I'm describing here, I was worth more than $1 million, living in a 1-bedroom, 700-square-foot duplex where I'd rent out the other side to help pay my expenses. My daily driver was a used Prius. I paid for all of my trips and credit card points. I never bought designer clothes. I bought the cheapest food from the grocery store.
Do that.
I didn't have any TV subscriptions. I never splurged on restaurants. So in terms of lifestyle, I was basically living the same as I was at $100,000, except now I was no longer reliant on having to keep an income. Obviously, I'm a bit of an extreme when it comes to frugality, but for most people, when they hit $1 million, they could start to be a bit more selective of where they work.
That's what I'm saying. Like, see, I had a conversation with my pops about this because my mom is very frugal and my dad is very like the opposite way, right? Like, I would hate to reach a milestone of money thinking I'm just gonna like save it and then I just die. Like, if I hit $1 million and then I just die, I would actually be like, me and God would have to have a talk, because it's like, bro, why didn't you let me just like blow this money then, or give it to somebody else so they could use it? Like, it's a very thin line, because yes, you could die at any time, but then it's like, what if you spend all your money and then you live to be 100, but now you're broke? Like, would you rather be a broke person who had $1 million or die with $1 million? You know, it's a philosophical question, because even if you die with $1 million, you could go to like your family or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But like, or would you rather like make sure you spend all, like, it's very hard to decide.
Choose to walk away if something doesn't align with their goals.
You rather die broke?
Prioritize happiness and health over money.
I'm the same
They
way.
don't need to check grocery store prices. They could easily afford to eat out once a week without making a financial impact, but they're still very much aware of how much things cost. Like, sure, $1 million is a lot of money, but you have to be careful not to over leverage your investments. You have to be very cautious about buying a home that you could actually afford. You're still checking prices on flights and hotels. You might be able to take a few weeks off work.
I ain't gonna lie. If I have $1 million, I'm not checking flights. I'm not checking flights anywhere. I'm not checking flights to no goddamn where. Especially if I'm single. I ain't checking a flight to nowhere, boy. Girl, where you in Australia? Boy, oh, bro. If I have $1 million, bro, they're gonna call me the DM demon. If you bad and you overseas, you got your passport, pull up, we live. What the heck? Oh God.
But at $100 million. Now, I've spoken with quite a few people at this level and beyond, and surprisingly, they say that $100 million is the minimum they would want to fly private jets, get yachts, and multiple residences around the world. In fact, at $100 million, most people still think that a private jet is too expensive, and it's much more economically feasible just to fly first class instead. Honestly, even though they have so much money that everything just effectively becomes free, past $100 million, there's not much else that money could buy you. And the excitement of buying something new really just wears.
I feel like past $100 million, that's when rich people start doing the freak. That's when the freak offs become normal. Once you reach past $100 million, that's when you start just doing stuff because you're richer than everybody else around you. You start paying people to just do oddball stuff. Like, I've heard of people getting paid to, like, I remember one of my homies told me this girl got paid like $5,000 just to get meat thrown at her by like rich people. Like, stuff like that you start to do just because your mind you don't see people as people anymore. Like, you're so rich, it doesn't make sense for you to see people as people anymore because you have too much money. Like you can never run out of money with $100 million unless you're purposely trying to lose all your money.
Wears off at this point. A lot of them have said that any additional money they make brings them no extra enjoyment whatsoever. And if they had the opportunity, they would trade all the money away just to be able to start over again and be 25 years old. Yes, seriously, let that sink in. If someone's willing to pay $100 million just to be 25 years old again, and you're 25 years old, or you're in your 20s, just wasting your time, that's someone else's $1 million opportunity that they would gladly pay for, that a lot of people just take for granted when they don't realize that right now is the best time to be alive. That's why when all of them look back and say that the early milestones were the ones that brought them the most joy, that means that these are the times right now to cherish the most.
No, but like, on a serious note though, like, that video really brought a whole lot of things in perspective for me. But I'm thinking more of like, I think if you're single, $1 million in the right city, because I went to college at Mankato State, right? If you give me $1 million in Mankato State, boy, I could live in Mankato literally for the next 25 years without worrying about a goddamn thing with $1 million. You give me $5 million in Minneapolis, never worrying about a thing. So it does depend on your location, how much money you need and stuff like that. So I would say, you know, it really depends on how much money you have. You know, I mean, not how much money you have, I mean like where you're located.